And we will have our permit. And it won't be long after we break ground that we'll start laying that foundation. And I invite all of the whole community. When we laid the grounds for this masjid, it was before Fajr. We laid the foundation and we prayed the prayer of Ibrahim from Surah Al-Baqarah. We read it right there when we were pouring the foundation. Next time, let's have a foundation party, inshallah. Let's all get here before Fajr. Let's make the dua together. Then after we make the dua, let's have Fajr, and then let's get Latifa and Shadid and Lila and everybody else to make a breakfast like they made at Eid, and let's enjoy ourselves, inshallah. And let's keep working further. So now, what is this? This is August, September, October, November, December, January, February, in Black History Month, inshallah. See how God works? In Black History Month, inshallah, you and I will break ground on Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. And with that, I bring you our keynote for today, Imam Fahim Shuaib. Takbir. Takbir. Takbir.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So you get me on there? Okay. I need to get this on, right? Okay. Somebody want to take, well, you need light for the camera, right? That's going to, okay, it's sharpening up. Let me get set here, okay? Yes, sir. I'm okay. I'm just doing a lot. It's on? Okay. Thank you. Somebody's phone ringing or something somewhere. Is that you? Oh, okay, okay. All right. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa nashhadu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I am taking a seat because there's a tendency when I sit down to be a little more academic. When I stand up, I can float to the preacher side a little bit too much. I don't want to go there today. So it's my intention to be academic in the sense of, I really want you to think about the substance. And inshallah, and I always want you to think about the substance, of course. But at the same time, I truly want you to grasp the stream of the idea. Just get on and then just ride with the idea. I could say so many things, but speaking about Ramadan sessions, Imam Qasim and I, and the other things with the Imam, it's like some people, they never really learned how to listen to the Imam. And because they didn't know how to listen to the Imam, they didn't know when, like he's going a main freeway, but he might take a side trip and go there, spend a little time there. He hasn't left the main idea, but if you don't understand that this is just a side trip from the main idea, then you don't know when he got back on the freeway, if you will. He get back on when he get back. Okay, now he's back to that. Okay, so you're able to get the substance from the quote unquote side trip, let's say, and then you're able to stay with the main idea. And that's something, of course, mashallah, we have the opportunity to do that now because so much of the Imam's archives are just out there and available to us. I mean, you could spend 24 hours a day easy just listening to Imam Muhammad's lectures. And you would be better for it too, mashallah. But sometime after the Imam's passing, rahimahullah alayhi, he was, we were asked, I'm pretty sure Imam Qasim was too, but the quote-unquote leading Imams and others, Aisha Mustafa was one of the women that I knew of. They had called for papers from us, but it was actually kind of late after the Imam's passing. It wasn't like, the month after or 2 months or 3 months after. It was kind of late after. But alhamdulillah, it's good. So they called for papers from selected individuals in the community, and it was to be published in the International Journal of Islamic Law or something like that. I don't have the title right now. And so several of us, we compiled our papers, put our papers together because you had to do it according to the standards of international journals, right? And because it was going to be published in this prestigious journal, so it had to meet the specs for that. And so I did, and the others did. And then there was delay after delay after delay. I'm not mad at anybody because we wound up getting it done anyway. But it was never quote published, right? And so I don't know. You kind of feel like somebody taking all the honey and then storing it away somewhere. It's like it wasn't that's it's supposed to be published. So whatever the excuse was, it never really happened. And so I continue. I kept the paper. I have the paper, and I'm telling you that this is actually the paper that I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you the paper that was originally intended for that journal. I presented it on an occasion in New Jersey, maybe a couple of years ago. I don't know if any of you remember a little controversy about why not Bilal or something like that. Why not the term Bilalian or what have you. That should and still be the name that we subscribe to. And insha'Allah, at some stage, I'm kind of talking out. Well, I'll hold that last piece. I won't. I'm gonna have to save that piece for home, so I won't say that here. I'll do that at home, because at home don't even know what I was about to say, so I'm not gonna say that. But getting past that, so I'm going to read this, and there are visuals to go along with this, and give your brain something to kind of latch on to, because my focus is actually going to be reading the paper. So it's literally like I'm at a conference where my role is just to read the paper, and when people are in the audience, they're here to hear the paper, and then if there's any question, feedback, or what have you, all those things are done afterwards. But what's most important for me now is just laying down the idea, just literally as in narration, and when I stop stop these opening comments. I'm going to go straight to the paper, and it will speak for itself, inshallah, for that. So that's the spirit of my presentation, and that's the way I would like for you to receive it. And mashallah, inshallah, it'll be received well. So as you see, the title that I have there is Imam W.D. Muhammad, rahimahullah alayh, and it could be radiyallahu anhu, and the legacy of al-Islam in this country. The original title for the piece was Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. He lived an entire lifetime amongst us. That would have been the original publishing of it. So I begin. This is the abstract. They ask you to do an abstract for it, meaning the gist of the subject matter of the material is what. So this is the abstract. Imam Warithuddin Muhammad's, I should say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Imam Warithuddin Muhammad's greatest contribution to the Muslim American community and to the world is what is least understood. The unique contribution made by Imam Muhammad to the Muslim American community was and is his demonstration of the significance and power of language as a source for human transformation. Language constituted his greatest challenge as well as the greatest tool for his particular mission for al-Islam in America. This article will describe, from a follower's point of view, this most misunderstood contribution, namely how he ascertained the strategy and intention of the founder of the Nation of Islam, Professor Fard Muhammad, decoded his symbolic language, and freed the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from it while keeping them connected to the historic lifeline of the African Americans' quest for full human restoration, and how he then showed them the path to an authentic and autonomous Islamic life through insight into the sources of al-Islam, the Holy Quran and its original language, and the life example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the abstract. What happened, I'll go ahead and read, I'll read the headings. Headings for this is from Africa to chattel slavery to self-hatred. What happened in the history of Africa and in the history of America to bring African Americans generally and African American Muslims particularly to where they are in America? I should state it clearly as a question. What happened in the history of Africa and in the history of America to bring African Americans generally and African American Muslims particularly to where they are in America today? Al-Islam came to the continent of Africa in about 615 AD, and then around the 11th century AD, Islamic kingdoms came up. Islamic kingdoms such as Songhai, Mali, Ghana, Kanem-Bornu were the first Islamic kingdoms. They became Islamic kingdoms because their leaders accepted Islam, and when it came to them, Al-Islam wasn't forced on them, they accepted it willingly. After the leaders accepted al-Islam, they passed it on to their nobles, and the nobles accepted it, and then they passed it on to the military, and then the military accepted it, and then they passed it on to the masses of their people. Finally, al-Islam spread to the neighboring African kingdoms and nations. In about the 14th or the 15th centuries, these particular kingdoms became empires. They were governing multiple nations under one leadership. But then, shortly after the 16th century or so, in tandem with the beginning of the Atlantic slave trade, these empires began to decline because of internal strife, conflict, and tribal wars. These empires began to fall off the high pedestal of civilization that Islam had brought them to. The main conduit of the slave trade was the notorious Middle Passage. In that Middle Passage, tens of millions of African lives were lost over the centuries of its existence. It's very hard for most people to even imagine the horrors of the Atlantic slave trade and the Middle Passage. There are only about 40 million African Americans in America right now in the United States. Just imagine, let's say, 40 trips of slave ships, just 40 ships going back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean, and 1 million human beings being killed or dying or thrown overboard on each of those trips. These only represent